Welcome to Executive Leaders Radio, your spot in the corner office, the radio show where executives share their secrets to success. Executive Leaders Radio.
You're listening to Executive Leaders Radio. This is your host, Herb Cohen, with my co-host, Shannon Lane, Newmark Knight Frank, Drew Hanlon, Ethan Milrod, GoTo, Daily Tipton, Evolution Energy Partners, David Jackowitz, Evolution Financial Group, Dave Stonecipher, Herbine and Company. And Ethan, can you give us a rundown on who we have on the air today, please?
For Herb, we have a great show ahead, including Zabet, Executive Director, Global Philadelphia Association, Jason and Kim Coleman, co-founders, Stranger Studios, Bill Lacey, President and CEO, ACHRM, and Jimena Valle, founding principal, 15 Architecture and Design.
Let's get to know our first guest, Zabet Tluxa, who's Executive Director of Global Philadelphia Association. Zabet, what is the Global Philadelphia Association?
It's a nonprofit that positions Philadelphia internationally.
All righty. And where are you from originally? How many brothers and sisters, and where are you in the pecking order?
So I'm born and raised in Carthage, Tunisia. I have 3 elder brothers, and I am number 4.
All righty. And 8 to 14, what was going on with you?
I was in moving 3 different schools on 3 different continents with 2 different languages.
All righty. Drew.
What's the impact of moving around schools in different places?
Well, it makes you very adaptable, and it makes you appreciate change and differences.
And what's the benefit to your association?
I think it's the lens and perspective that I bring. Prior to my arrival doing this work 10 years ago, the words global and Philadelphia were rarely heard together. And now that's really part of the course.
Daly?
So when we were in the green room, you talked about your childhood, and we talked about swimming and brownies and stamps. Tell us about the importance of stamps.
So I love stamp collecting young, and of course, it's something that really teaches you an awful lot about different countries. But it also involves organizing and outreach because, of course, in order to get more stamps, you have to connect with other stamp collectors.
There's a real clear connection to who you are nowadays, isn't there?
I think so.
Mm-hmm. Ethan?
But you mentioned also earlier that there was a special person in your life that took care of you as a young girl. Can you tell us, the listening audience, a little bit about her?
Sure. I was very lucky to have a woman called Turkey, a Tunisian lady, that helped raise me when I was very young and was fundamental to my life as a young child.
How was she fundamental to your life?
Well, she provided comfort, food, nurturing, and of course care when my mom was out at work.
Now, how did you carry those traits forward in your life, Zabet, the traits that Turkey helped you with?
I think really they were similar to what any parent provides, but what was different is she was of another culture to me, and for me that was natural.
Do you think that helped you prepare you for what you're doing nowadays?
100%, yes.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. David?
Zabeth, in the green room, you mentioned going off to boarding school at age 10. How has that impacted who you are today?
Well, it enforces you to be extremely independent, of course, to get along with all sorts of different other people, and to be very organized.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Stonecipher.
Zabet, you grew up the youngest of 4 children, and you said you had 3 significantly older brothers. I got the impression that that had some impact on you. I'm curious how you think that prepared you to deal with your current board of directors and other executives.
So I watched 3 older people. One was a doctor, the other 2 were students as I was growing up, and successful, not successful, making mistakes. But my interaction with them was important in terms of dealing with different levels of people and different types of people. And as you can imagine, my board is very diversified, and I have to have those skills with them.
Shannon?
In the green room, you mentioned that faith played an important role, still does in your life today. I'm curious, when did that first start showing up for you?
So my second school was a Church of England school in Bahrain in the Middle East, and their faith was introduced to me in an important way, and it stayed with me ever since. It really is part of my existence, and I feel that a relationship with God is an important part of who I am.
And how does it affect business?
I don't know how it affects business directly.
How does it affect you running your organization, your faith?
I think it's a relationship building. I think it helps in times of trouble, but also in good times. And I have a wonderful church community here, and it's really just an important backbone to my life.
Earlier, you mentioned when we were speaking in the green room that there were some things about you that we hadn't gone over regarding mentoring and art. What were some of those other things? And tell us a little bit about that.
So because I had a single parent growing up for a large time, my mother was very intelligent to make sure that I had mentors. And I had some incredible mentors, family, friends, and others. And they really helped me to be who I am today. Likewise, I really enjoy mentoring, and we have a lot of young people come through Global Philadelphia Association as interns, staff, and others. And I really do enjoy that mentoring piece of what I do, and it's very important to my self-fulfillment.
Mm-hmm. How about art? What you mentioned that you really appreciate art. I'm trying to figure out where does that fit into your life?
You know, Philadelphia is a wonderful place for art, both in the street and it's in museums, as well as the mural arts, for example. And it's something that I really enjoy about our city, but personally speaks to me in the sense that although I don't have a specific career in art, it's always been a very important part of my life wherever I travel.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned another major part of who you are is network. And I'm trying to figure out how did that become important to you, and what's that have to do with what you're doing?
So, you know, some people have a home base in their home right from their childhood. I joke that my home is on LinkedIn because basically that's kind of where my network is. And networking is really important, particularly in what I do. And it's really kind of fundamental to the person that I am.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to go back to the mentoring piece. You know, you mentioned having some mentors. Your mom knew that was an important piece of the puzzle. Like, what was something you learned from a mentor?
You know, a simple thing is how to receive people and how to welcome them and how to put on events, basically. One of my mentors was a diplomat with the British Diplomatic Service and his wife, my godparents, in fact. And, of course, a tremendous amount of events around those aspects of life in the diplomatic corps I was exposed to in Tunisia and in Bahrain because we were in those countries together. And that's a really important part of what I do. You know, we manage events and we know how to receive people from different cultures. And it's just something that comes naturally to me because I grew up with it.
Mm-hmm. Next question, who's got it? What's the best part of your being the executive director of Global Philadelphia Association? What do you enjoy the most about that role?
I really think that it's a natural fit for the person who I am, and that's kind of a luxury that I realize I'm most fortunate to have. Not everyone fits into their job as much as I do, in the sense that this global piece really fits in with putting Philadelphia on the map internationally, connecting with its World Heritage City status, et cetera, et cetera.
So I guess this gig that you're doing is 9 to 5. I mean, you don't have to go into work before 9 o'clock or stick around after 5, do you?
Well, I'm very big on social media, and that's not 9 to 5.
So you really enjoy this job. You really enjoy connecting the international community with Philadelphia.
I do.
Uh-huh. And I guess because your interests include art and a lot of other interests aside from just business, you really are very broad in terms of your influence, in terms of your approach.
Well, I don't know if I could say that about myself, but I certainly try to encompass as much of what is global of Philadelphia. And someone mentioned earlier diversity and inclusion. That's a very important part of what we do at Global Philadelphia. And if you typically attend one of our business meetings, you'll find that it's not the usual crowd in the room. We have all sorts of people from all sorts of walks of life, and that's really important to us.
What do you mean at these meetings? What kind of meetings do you have? What are they about, and who attends?
So they're networking meetings, of course, fundraising meetings as well. They're also an award series. We give out a Globee Award in December every year to 6 different citizens who are really international in the Philadelphia marketplace. And that's a unique lens that we provide that no other organization really does.
Sounds like you're built for your job. What's the website address for Global Philadelphia Association?
globalphiladelphia.org.
We've been speaking with Zabet to Luxa, who's the Executive Director of Global Philadelphia Association here on Executive Leaders Radio. Let me have the website address one more time for Global Philadelphia Association, please.
globalphiladelphia.org.
And don't forget to visit our website. It's executiveleadersradio.com. That's executiveleadersradio.com to learn more about our executive leaders. We'll be back in a moment, right after this quick break. Don't stick around. We'll be right back. You now can recognize your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, executiveleadersradio.com. Yes, you can recognize your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, executiveleadersradio.com. Simply visit executiveleadersradio.com, securely enter their info, and we'll reach out to spotlight your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, executiveleadersradio.com. Don't wait. This radio and online social media and search engine exposure is quite valuable to your advisors. Yes, this radio and online social media exposure is free and quite valuable to your business advisors who deserve to be recognized. Visit executiveleadersradio.com now to nominate your deserving business advisors. We're back. You're listening to Executive Leaders Radio. This is your host, Herb Cohen. We'd like to introduce Jason and Kim Coleman, co-founders of an organization known as Stranger Studios. What is Stranger Studios? What are you guys doing?
Yeah, we build software for the web, including Paid Memberships Pro, which is a membership platform for WordPress.
Cool. And how large or small is the organization?
We have about 15 employees now, and we do 1.2 plus million in revenue.
All right. So you guys are really growing a business. And where are you from originally?
We're from Reading, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm. Who started this business?
We started the business together in 2006, but we've been together since I was 15. We're high school sweethearts.
Ethan?
So, you've been together for a long time. What was it about? Can you recall back when you were 15 years old, what attracted you to one another?
Oh, wow. Kim was like fun, but serious. It's like the good combination, spontaneous.
And Jason was my sister's friend. So, of course, I was immediately in love with him.
What was it about him, Kim?
He was a leader of his friends, but he was also kind of aloof and separate, kind of creative and a mystery.
You think the two of you still display those traits today in business? The same things when you were 15 and what attracted you to one another back then?
Oh, yeah, totally.
How so?
That fun but serious is like the perfect combination for, what we do on the web and making our things interesting and attractive to people too.
Drew?
Yeah, Jason, you mentioned a little earlier that your dad gave you some advice, and that was don't work in a factory. What did he mean by that?
Yeah. So, my dad worked in a paint factory, blue collar job, and he really drilled it into my head that like you should drive for something bigger. And
what was the impact of that advice to your clients?
It definitely, it made me sensitive to money as a kid and thinking about it, like that aspect of it. So when our business kind of started steering in a direction of helping our customers get paid, that really locked in with us. And we're like, this is very rewarding. And we like helping people make money.
Mm-hmm. What's very rewarding?
It's so it's like helping people quit their corporate job to like start their own business on the side, or helping associations raise money so they can pursue their goals. It just feels like,
wow.
It's more reward. Yeah.
Wow. It's really helping business people get started and build their businesses. Shannon?
Kim, can you tell us what makes Jason a good business partner?
Jason is always looking toward the future and looking at next steps, and also doing it very safely. He's very calculating, a very spreadsheet-driven person, but also creative.
And Jason, same question for you. What about Kim?
Yeah, Kim gets things done. So like whatever task you put in front of her, she she's going to figure it out and make sure it gets completed, make sure things get finished and aren't forgotten about.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Jackowitz?
Are you guys more like your mom or dad? And what does that bring to the partnership today?
My father is deeply committed to getting things completed. So I think that is definitely my role in this company. But he also cared deeply along his role as a manager in keeping his team healthy and happy. So I think that's why our team has grown to the size it is, but it also is a really close-knit group of people.
And Jason?
Yeah, I mean, my dad was a dreamer, so I think I got that from him, kind of thinking about opportunities. But as Kim said, also like thinking about the worst case scenarios and planning for them and to be ready. So I get that from my dad.
Excellent. Mr. Stone Cipher.
Im, in the green room, you mentioned that you're kind of a creative type, musically inclined, if you will. Jason, you said you're a writer and very much into computers when you were growing up. How do you think this lends itself to how you two complement each other as you run your business each day?
I think for my extracurriculars, they were all team-based, even though they weren't sports. The success of our show, of our performance and band, was the success of all of us and not an individual success. So I think working closely with Jason through my career, but also in our team, I don't look to be the shining star and getting all of the credit. I see it spread among us.
Mm-hmm. Jason and Kim, if we were doing a good job interviewing you, what are we missing? What don't we know about you guys that we should know?
I think some things that we touch on a lot is being life partners, but being business partners is a lot of people say, how can you possibly do this? But it works so well for us because of all the deep trust we have in one another as founders.
Are you guys like a left brain, right brain situation? It seems like Jason, like you're pretty technical, and Kim, you have quite a creative side.
I think we're both, what do you call it? Like we have lots of interest, polymaths with overlap. So I think like individual areas, we kind of take the left brain or the right brain side of certain things, but we're kind of both.
What's the benefit to your clients to be able to cover both those bases?
Yeah, I mean, back when we did consulting, it meant that like we could, like just the two of us could handle everything that, you know, someone needed. So we were able to really deliver a lot of value in a small package. And I think now it just means that we, you know, run a tight ship with our products and create like a better product for them.
When you're faced with like a tough decision at the office, what do you hear your father telling you, Jason? I'm just curious.
Oh, man.
I would say my father is telling me to do better.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So we would get an A and he would say, didn't you get an A plus?
Right. He said.
I think of that too for our customers. Like we want them to succeed, but we want them to knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Jason, your dad, how about what would your dad be telling you? What would your parents be telling you?
I think he reminded me often to like slow down and be in the moment and, you know, stay focused and not take things personally and, you know, focus on our relationship instead of the business problem. That's something we have to do every day. Like if we have a disagreement at work, it has to be resolved by the end of the day or it's a bad night. So, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think
how did your dad demonstrate that at home?
Yeah, but I mean, my dad was a diffuser, I think, of the family when there was arguments. I mean, not all the time. Sometimes my dad really had a temper, but he definitely was like the core that like was keeping the family together for us. And so, you know, maybe I played a role in business.
Uh-huh. So when you guys, do you guys have kids?
Yes, we have a 12-year-old boy and a 9-year-old girl.
Uh-huh. So what are conversations around the dinner table all about at your home?
We talk a lot about work and we loop our kids into it because they see it. And they also often comment if we're having a work disagreement and our voices get loud, they feel that stress. So it's important to us to explain to them the difference between working together and being married and being parents to them.
Yeah. So your kids are exposed to your business. Uh-huh. And are they picking up on it?
Not as much as we wish, but some friends have said that between the ages of 12 and 14 was when their kids got involved. So we're hopeful.
We see it quite often. We've interviewed over 10,000 CEOs, and usually those ages 8 to 14, especially 12, 13, 14, you know, you find out about the newspaper roots and the babysitting and how it really affects one's personality. What's the best part of your gig? What's the best part? What do you enjoy the most about what you're doing for a living?
Oh, man, we love building things and we love building things together. So like when there's a fresh idea and we know someone's going to, you know, be able to use this or like it. And we're figuring it out better than other people are and executing and making that reality.
What are you figuring out better than others?
So like, for instance, in software, there's lots of competitors in our space, but if we connect closer to what like associations and people really need, rather than what we think they need, make things easier, make things more complete.
So you're really trying to you're trying to anticipate demand, it sounds like, and design software around it.
Yeah.
We see our software as, a tool, but we also see the service we provide as helping people build businesses, because a lot of the people that we work with are startups and entrepreneurs themselves.
It sounds to me like the intimate relationship you guys share, both in terms of personal as well as in business, is the same relationship you're looking to share with your clients, which is you're really looking to get intimate and understand what their needs are, not just today or tomorrow. In fact, feels to me like that's what you think your competitive advantage is the intimacy with your clients, the bonding and the understanding of what they need today and tomorrow. Am I mistaken about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely part of it. I think we build our membership platform as like the most complete and customizable, and our users have individual needs, and we really set it up so that they can get exactly what they need.
Mm-hmm. Jason loves getting on a call and saying, you don't need that yet. You might need that in 3 months, but let's talk about what you need today.
Yeah.
Wow. What's the website address for your organization?
So it's strangerstudios.com.
And the other website address is?
paidmembershipspro.com. That's the main product.
Let me have them both again, please.
strangerstudios.com and paidmembershipspro.com.
We've been speaking with Jason and Kim Coleman, co-founders of Stranger Studios and Paid Memberships Pro, here on Executive Leaders Radio. Don't forget to visit our website, executiveleadersradio.com. To learn more about our executive leaders, stick around. We'll be back in a moment right after this quick break. We're back. You're listening to Executive Leaders Radio. This is your host, Herb Cohen. We'd like to introduce Bill Lacey, President and CEO of the Association for Corporate Health Risk Management. Bill, what is the Association for Corporate Health Risk Management? What are you guys doing?
National membership-based organization made up of employers all across the country coming together to find innovative ways to containing their healthcare costs.
How large or how small is this community that you've built?
It's well over 1,000 professionals, and it goes coast to coast.
And where you're from originally? How many brothers and sisters? Where are you in the pecking order?
I'm the oldest. I have had 4 siblings and grew up in Haddonfield, New Jersey.
All righty. Drew.
Yeah, Bill, tell us, what did mom and dad do for a living?
My mother was stay-at-home, raised the family, and my father was an investment banker, worked most of his career up in Manhattan.
What lesson did your father teach you at a young age that you still bring to work every day with you?
Well, certainly understood long hours, being focused, disciplined, and he was quite bright.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Daly Tipton, what do you got?
So, Bill, you talked about your dad telling you to when you graduated from college. Tell us what he told you about swimming.
He said if you applied the same discipline and tenacity to your career that you did for swimming, you'll be very successful.
And that's interesting because in the green room, you told us about a near-death experience a drowning experience. How does that relate to you getting back in the pool and swimming?
Yes, well, near-death experience, you've got multiple things connected to you. It takes an awful lot to try and bring yourself back. And, of course, it was a scary event. So getting back in the pool was one of my near-term goals, and I accomplished that.
Mm-hmm. That near-term goal that became almost a lifetime goal. And what does that tell us about you?
Never give up. You need to work very hard, and you're going to have a lot of setbacks in life, but you got to learn from them and move forward.
Mr. Jackowitz?
You mentioned the green room, Bill, about that you graduated college with 11 swimming records. How do you think that relates to your business today?
When you're trying to advance a business, especially a business that you've started yourself, you don't have a roadmap. You've got to build that roadmap, and there's many, many milestones that you need to accomplish. So in swimming, you're doing some of the same things, lap after lap.
Mm-hmm. Ethan?
Bill, how was entrepreneurship important to you as a young man?
I became a Philadelphia Inquirer paperboy as a teenager, and meant getting up very early in the morning. And I built that route into what became 3 different routes when I retired as a senior in high school.
What does that tell us about you, and how did you learn? What did you learn from that you apply today in business?
Certainly, it's longer hours. You need to do things differently than maybe some of your counterparts are doing or colleagues. You have to be goal-oriented, and there's going to be many times that you're going to encounter challenges that you're going to have to build that roadmap.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Stonecipher?
Bill, you said you're the oldest of 5 kids, and your father was working hard and commuting to New York City. That leads me to believe you had to play a certain role in your siblings. Could you tell us about that?
Yes, as the older one, you're certainly, I guess, looked upon. I had several years senior to my siblings, but at the same time, you're creating an independence too, because you don't really have anybody. You're looking up to your parents as your mentors as you move forward. So it's both a nurturing situation, but it's also trying to develop your own skill sets and goals and moving forward in life.
How does that apply to what you're doing today?
It's a lot of entrepreneurship that I have found, not only when I worked for organizations, but on my own. You've got to figure out what the vision looks like, and you got to look forward many, many years as you develop that. And you need to surround yourself with a lot of smart people. So it's a nurturing commitment, and also trying to overcome many, many different obstacles and ways to advance.
Mm-hmm. Shannon?
Well, in the green room, you mentioned that your grandfather was also an entrepreneur. What did you learn from him that you still carry with you today?
Yes, very inspirational. My grandfather, he has sadly passed many years ago, but was raised in a Hungarian-type atmosphere and made it to the 10th grade. And he and his brothers created a business, and I learned seeing hard work, discipline, and never giving up were important attributes.
Mm-hmm. Daly?
Yeah, you talked a little bit in the green room about being an Eagle Scout. Tell us about that journey.
Yes, I was the only. Growing up in scouting it was a little difficult because it's as you get older, you have many, many more conflicts or distractions that fall into your life. So trying to stay on that pathway, and I literally got the Eagle Award on my 18th birthday, which is the last possible day that you can get the Eagle Award. So it taught me to stick with it. You need to set these goals, and at the same time, you get to learn from a lot of important people around the table. And the town mayor, that my Eagle ceremony was his first time. That was his first official capacity as mayor. So he always likes to remind me of that. And this is many, many decades later.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been the underdog in multiple occasions. I mean, you said when you started swimming, you weren't too good at it. And then you went on to set a bunch of records in college. What is being the underdog? Like, what's the impact of understanding the position the underdog have for your business?
Well, absolutely. We're in a field that's vastly competitive. There's many, many other associations. So we are blazing a trail that has to be unique, and it requires a lot of forward thinking and engagement of many other organizations. And I guess the validating point has come recently when we had the city of Chicago approach us to design a healthcare cost containment plan. And just this week, we have a large county government in Maryland that has come to us to do the same work that we had done for the city of Chicago.
You still feel like you're the underdog?
Yes, every day. It's you can never stop pushing forward. you constantly need to set a higher bar.
Mm-hmm. Shannon, what are you thinking?
I'm going to steal one of Herb's favorite questions. What's the best part of your day? What do you enjoy the most about what you're doing?
Well, it's I guess there's several things that make my day feel good. It's my ability to be able to separate from the business, and it might be doing something physical or exercising, somehow disconnecting, because when you're running your own business, it is 24/7. You can never stop it. So anytime that you can find a way to separate. Also, I look at anytime there's a success, make sure you celebrate it, because there's going to be far more setbacks than there are going to be successful moments. So you need to really celebrate those.
Mm-hmm. Sounds to me like you're really passionate. It sounds like you're really in this business, like you were really in that swimming thing. I mean, it's pretty profound, the fact that you were swimming, you almost drowned, and then you came back and you won 11 records. That's incredible. And it sounds to me like the same way you're focusing on creating from a blank piece of paper this organization known as the Association for Corporate Health Risk Management. And really, if I understand correctly, you're helping employers understand how to control their healthcare costs and get more at the same time. Am I correct about that?
You're absolutely correct. And yes, thank you, Herb. It's it's really just a bunch of building blocks. You're essentially disaggregating what major health insurance carriers offered, but at a much more expensive rate and less effective way. So there are other ways to make it happen.
What's the website address for the Association for Corporate Health Risk Management?
Yes, it's ACHRM.org, ACHRM.org.
We've been speaking with Bill Lacey, President and CEO of the Association for Corporate Health Risk Management here on Executive Leaders Radio. Don't forget to visit our website. It's executiveleadersradio.com to learn more about our executive leaders. It's executiveleadersradio.com. To learn more about our executive leaders, stick around. We'll be back in a moment right after this quick break.
Recognize your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, Executive Leaders Radio. Yes, you can recognize your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, executiveleadersradio.com. Simply visit executiveleadersradio.com, securely enter their info, and we'll reach out to spotlight your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, executiveleadersradio.com. Don't wait. This radio and online social media and search engine exposure is quite valuable. Yes, this radio and online social media and search engine exposure is quite valuable to your business advisors who deserve to be recognized. Visit executiveleadersradio.com now to nominate your deserving business advisors for free exposure.
We're back. You're listening to Executive Leaders Radio. This is your host, Herb Cohen. We'd like to introduce Jimena Valle, who's founding principal of 15 Architecture and Design. Jimena, what is 15 Architecture and Design?
15 is a design thinking firm focused on architecture and the built environment.
And where are you from originally? How many brothers and sisters, and where are you in the pecking order?
I am from Chile originally, and I am the oldest of 3 sisters.
Okie dokie. Drew.
Yeah, Jimena, you mentioned when you were in high school you were winning awards. What kind of awards were you winning, and why were you chosen?
It was in elementary school, and there were awards I wasn't aware existed. I got the first place, and it was something that I always continued to receive and always pursued.
What was the impact of winning that first award on you?
It set a milestone for me. I said, well, if I got it once, I better get it again.
And how has that experience helped your clients today?
For sure, we focus our company on doing the best possible job that we can for them and setting them up for success.
Yeah, it doesn't sound to me like you want to drop the ball. You want to keep on winning that award. You want to keep the standards up. Ethan?
Jimena, you exude this level of confidence. Where does that come from?
I think it comes from moving to the States at a pretty early age. I was 12, a new country, new language, had to really carve my path there. And I think that gives me the ability to look at challenges as just something to kind of get around and get through, keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Daly?
So let's talk about mom and dad. Who are you more like?
I think I'm more like my mom. She
Why is that?
was an art teacher. She was an art teacher by training, but she stayed home to raise us. And during that time, she was always inventing businesses and ways to make money and to make sure that she wasn't only relying on my dad for that.
And what do you take from her when you show up at work every day?
Well, definitely never give up. Just keep going. If something's not working, try it a different way.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Stonecipher?
Man, growing up with three sisters, I found pretty curious. Do you think that influenced you at all to start a business with three other women?
I never really thought about that. But I architecture is a field that is male dominated. And I think it also goes back to wanting to do things differently. And I always saw myself as a role model to my sisters. And so perhaps that just makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean you found yourself as a role model to your sisters? What are you talking about?
I think two ways. I mean, as the oldest, I always had to be like gaining permissions. I always teased them that I made it real easy for them because I was always, kind of like trailblazing and groundbreaking for them. But I also tried to always do things with integrity and to show them that, why I was doing things the way I was doing them.
So what's that have to do with this business?
Mentoring, I'm very passionate about, and I think that our profession sometimes doesn't do a great job at that. So mentoring younger architects, designers, professionals is a huge passion of mine, and perhaps that's where that comes from.
So you're telling me that if you're running an ad on a job board looking for people, you're the right kind of organization to come to work with because you can help develop my talent if I'm a young architect?
Oh, 100%.
Mm-hmm. Just wanted to make sure I understood. Mr. Jackowitz?
Jimena, you mentioned, talking about moving here when you were 12 to the U.S. How do you think that impacted you becoming an entrepreneur?
I think actually a number of ways, David. I think, defying challenges, like I said earlier, really not seeing them as challenges, but rather seeing them as opportunities. I think also understanding the value of relationships and partnerships that's important to our company now, but having lost that in some ways coming to the States and then having to regain it, understanding that value, making those connections, and then really looking for opportunities to help myself succeed. I think all those things tie back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it feels to me like as opposed to you're winning at somebody else's expense. That's not who you are. It sounds to me like you're about win, 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 win. Am I correct about that?
One of the reasons why I wanted to have co-founders was because I really do think these things take a village and we got to hold each other up. And I like to think of our team as our team. We're really not principals and employees. We're really one group. And as big as we keep growing, we want to hold on to that. That's what it takes.
Mm-hmm. Shannon?
Nana, it really stood out to me that when you were talking about moving to the U.S. at 12, you didn't speak any English at that time, and there were so many hurdles you had to get past. But in the green room, you didn't talk about that. Instead, you just kept talking about opportunity. What does being an opportunist, how does that help your clients today?
A lot of our clients arrive to us because they want to design a building. But what we end up doing for them is helping them better understand themselves as a company and understand the kind of seeds that they need to plant now for a brighter future later. So although they come to us for what they think they need, we give them so much more than that and equip them for the future. We also help them see what other opportunities might be in what they're doing. So while we're focused on designing this space, we're really interested in finding out much more about what they do and how we can help them.
Drew?
Yeah, I'm just curious, where that unique positioning came from and that differentiation to dig deeper and understand the heart and soul of your clients. Where did that come from?
I think some of it may have to do with having been in an environment where not understanding what people are saying around you is a really weird thing. And then having to really read people, read what they're doing, read circumstances and situations. I think to some degree, it just led me to believe that there's always a different way to do things, not necessarily the easier path. So perhaps some of that is coming through.
Did you see Mom do that? Keep trying to find different ways of doing things, and there's other paths?
Absolutely, and reinventing. And if something doesn't work, trying.
Give us an example of how you saw that in Mom.
So I think she loved art and wasn't able to really practice it. So then she had, first it was like arts and crafts fairs, then it was designing dresses, and then she actually started a store. But each time that a hurdle came, it was a rebranding, a new name, a new coming out, of the business.
Do you think Mom's art came through in your design?
I think so. There was always paintbrushes and, art easels in her house. Mm-hmm. And I learned to draw and to color as a pastime pretty early on.
Mm-hmm. This fact that, the point that Drew brought up very early in the beginning was that, you won the first place prize when you were at school in Chile, and because of your grade point average. So you really drove yourself for academic achievement, and you didn't want to lose it. You kept on driving yourself. Has that helped grow this organization known as 15 Architecture and Design? The fact you've got this drive and this ambition, but yet you want to win with everybody as opposed to winning at somebody's individual expense. Is that the reputation of the firm?
I hope so. And also to empower everybody that's coming along on this journey to feel that same drive, and for our clients to benefit from that same drive.
So when you say everybody coming along on this journey, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about our employees, our team, really, but also our clients. I dream of having a team that is really large and that is together, committed, rowing in the same direction, hopefully helping to innovate in our industry.
That's interesting. So as opposed to a large team that you can dominate, where you have the parking space out front that says president and everybody's got to recognize you, that's not what your game is.
I much prefer a quiet leader.
You much prefer a quiet leader. So you like leading from behind. It sounds like that's that mentoring thing in you. You really want to find the right people and put your energy into developing the team and the relationships with the clients. Am I correct about that?
I had a great mentor who said, I got to surround myself with brilliant people, smarter than me. And that's how you succeed. And that is absolutely my goal. But I got to make...
Give me that again.
I had a great mentor who told me just surround yourself with really bright people, better than yourself. And that's what helps you succeed. I'm just really responsible for putting the dream out there and getting everybody inspired and behind it and making sure we don't fail.
Doesn't that frighten you that you have people smarter than you and they're liable to hurt you or something like that?
I am an optimist. I don't quite see it that way.
What's the website address for this organization known as 15 Architecture and Design? xvadesign.com. Let me have that one more time.
It's xvadesign.com.
We've been speaking with Jimena Valle, founding principal of 15 Architecture and Design here on Executive Leaders Radio. Ethan, can you give us a rundown of who we have on the air today, please?
Sure, Herb. Great show today, including Zabet Chiluxing, Executive Director, Global Philadelphia Association, Jason and Kim Coleman, co-founders, Stranger Studios, Bill Lacey, President and CEO, ACHRM, and Jimena Valle, founding principal, 15 Architecture and Design.
I'd like to thank my co-hosts, including Shannon Lane, Newmark Knight Frank, Drew Ethan Milrod, GoTo, Daley Tipton, Evolution Energy Partners, David Jackowitz, Evolution Financial Group, and Dave Stonecipher, Herbine & Company, for giving me a hand structuring the questions, hoping providing a listening audience an educational and entertaining show. I'd like to thank our listening audience for listening. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a radio show. Don't forget to visit our website, executiveleadersradio.com. And thank you for joining us. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.